Howdy folks, and welcome back to Reading Held Hostage. My name's Blue, and I love to read.
And my name's Hatchet Justin, motherfucker.
Oh, it wasn't one Hatchet, it was two.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. Yeah? Was that fun?
I got my two hatchets.
Are they sharp?
Not really.
Okay. Well,
they definitely will cut something.
Well, yeah, I think most things will cut something if you throw it at something.
But they're not very sharp.
Not very sharp. Okay, yeah, Justin's got two hatchets because...
We're reading Animal Farm.
No, we did. I read Hatchet yesterday, which, if you don't know what Hatchet is, honestly, like...
Did you go to school?
It's pretty good. Well, I mean, you went to school. Do you?
I know what Hatchet is.
Okay, which leads me to my first question. Tell me about Hatchet. What do you know about Hatchet?
Teen dude.
Okay.
Just like, I'm outie. Fuck this. And go live in a tree with a hawk.
Nope, you're thinking of the wrong book, but I know exactly what book you're thinking about.
What?
You're thinking about My Side of the Mountain by Gene Craig. Gene?
Yeah, I don't know shit about Hatchet.
You really don't know much?
No.
You know, I read these Hatchet.
If that's not Hatchet...
You don't know?
No.
Really? Nothing about Hatchet? Interesting.
I thought that was Hatchet. That's all my Hatchet memories.
I mean, you're not as far off as you think. Okay, I'm just gonna go. So, the book was written in 1986. So
old.
So old. Disgusting.
If you're older than that,
can
honestly...
you imagine being older than... There are 5 other books in this series, and it's kind of the same way that, like, Lewis Lowry did The Giver, where she was, like a couple years later, she was like, shit, like, I gotta do more books. But this was written by Gary Paulsen, whose name is really familiar to me, but I didn't recognize any of the other books I heard of from him. Yeah. He has since passed as of 2021. But I couldn't find anything negative about him, but I'm sure he was a human just like everybody.
Yeah.
Oh, that was spooky.
That probably picked up.
Probably, who cares? The Hatchet book has been banned in some school districts.
Why?
Justin, it talks about divorce.
What the flick?
And cheating.
That's not questioned.
That's not questioned. Okay, but it is pretty similar to My Side of the Mountain in the sense that boy lives in wilderness.
Wait, is this the one where he crashes in a plane?
That's Hatchet.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
I do know. Now that you know that...
I'm on the same page.
Tell me
he has
more.
A little gun.
Can you tell me more about what you know about Hatchet now that you know what Hatchet
Yeah, he has a little gun. I just said that.
He doesn't have a little gun.
Are you listening?
What do you mean a little gun?
It's like a gun inside of a stock, and it's a little .22.
What?
We're thinking of different books again.
Again, yeah, we are.
Because he crashes it into a lake.
That's right. So far, you're correct on Hatchet.
And then he swims back into the lake to get some shit.
Yeah.
And one of the shits is a little gun.
There's so much book in between those two parts of the book.
That's the only parts I remember.
You just told me chapter 1 and chapter 19. But okay. So I'm assuming, do you remember reading this or listening to this in your youth?
Kinda.
Yeah. It's one of those ones that I read in 5th grade, so that's right before they put us into the separation of,
church and state.
Yeah, 5th grade when you have to choose church or state.
That's why people don't know about Hatchet. It's because they chose church.
They were so busy thinking about church. But this is my favorite genre of book that I read like this in this time period, which is like wilderness, things like that. I also read, My Side of the Mountain and Julie of the Wolves, who are by the same person, and all that kinds of stuff. So, like, this is my...
Wait, Julie of the Wolves and My Side of the Mountain's the same dude?
They're the same woman. They're written by the same woman, yeah.
Dude's gender neutral.
Okay, well, I just wanted to say it. Gene Craighead George. So, this book...
Wait, what the fuck did you say their name was?
Gene Craighead George. I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
That's not a real name.
Yeah, it is. Her name's Gene Craighead George. Gene Craighead. Yeah, that's right. Maybe I'm not pronouncing it right, but that's like straight up her fucking name.
That's a crazy name.
Holy crap, she was old. Girl was almost 100 when she passed.
Damn, girl.
Yeah. And she wrote a lot of this.
What you sticking around here for so long for?
We're not talking about her right now, but I will say we will because I really like the Julie of the Wolves series.
Yeah, I know that.
I haven't reread it in a long time, though. Okay, anyways, we're talking about Hatchet. So, I'll just give you the quick plot rundown, and then I'll run you through the book. Quick plot rundown is boy gets trapped in woods, crash plane.
I hate when crash plane get trapped in woods.
Boy survives in woods. Boy survives.
That's good.
And eventually he does get rescued. What age range would you say this book is rated for?
10 and up?
Yeah, 9, 10 and up. I want to come back to that and see how you feel.
Well,
I think it's relatively appropriate still. I think there's some harder topics and some interesting things that happen. Mm-hmm. But we'll start. So our main character's name is Brian. He's 13 years old, and his parents have recently gotten a divorce. So there's two plots. There's the A plot, which is him in the wilderness, and then there's the B plot, and which is the divorce.
D plot, really.
Why?
Divorce.
Oh, I get it. I was like, Dick, like he's only 13. Like, what do you mean? But so we start off. He's in a single engine plane with the pilot because he's going to see his father for like the summer holidays up at an oil thing in Canada.
Okay. I was like, if this is not like dudes going to Alaska, if you're in a single engine plane, get in a different plane.
Yeah, that's how you feel about single engine planes?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in this case, you're right. But, yeah, so his parents have recently gotten a divorce, and this will be the first, like, summer he spends with his dad. And speaking of the divorce, I'll just go quick about it. He's really mad at his mom, and he blames his mom for why he's flying, because his mom was cheating on his dad. Mm. And he saw it. He never told his dad. And
dude, wait. If they're getting a divorce, tell him he can get more money.
He's a kid. He didn't know. He was just like, what the hell's going on? Idiot, stupid 13-year-old. But he, like, didn't know what's going on.
Help a dude out and get him that good divorce money.
Yeah. But he obviously has a lot of resentment for his mom for this situation.
Yeah.
And again, he's also like, I'm in the plane because of her.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got a hatchet? Telling the hatchet story?
Yeah.
His mom gave him a little hatchet before he left, because she's like, you'll be a big man in the woods up in Canada. Man. Which, I mean, is true.
Do you know being a lumberjack is one of the most deadly professions?
Did you know being a lumberjack is one of the sexiest professions?
Oh.
I mean, I don't know. What'd you say? Do you tell me your statistic again?
Okay.
Oh. I mean, Wolverine was a lumberjack.
Logan was a lumberjack.
Okay, so in this plane, it's just the pilot, and the pilot's like, look, like, you can learn how to, like, turn the plane a little bit here and there, and he lets him, like, play with just the wheel part.
Just, whoom, straight down.
But then eventually, like, Brian's kind of disassociating, looking out the window, and he's like, it smells like ass in here, like... I think the pilot farted a lot.
It smells like butthole.
He's like ignoring it, like trying to be really polite. Because again, he's 13. He's like, what do I, like, can't open a window. I'm in a plane.
Actually, in most one-seaters, you can't open the window.
Anyways, he feels
and really... commercial jets actually open the window. You can open the window, but you have to be, like, on the ground. Like, there's too much pressure. Mm. And it's pressurized, so you can't really do that. Pressure.
Anyway, Brian's like, what the hell am I going to do? This guy's having a fart attack. And then he's not, because he's actually having a heart attack. And the pilot seizes and...
He has a heart attack.
Presumably passes. We don't know if he actually passes from the heart attack.
What's the guy's name from Parks and Rec?
Gary?
Gary. Right? It's because they call him 5 different names.
Mm-hmm. Couldn't remember. Terry.
Yeah. Terry, Jerry, and Gary.
That was his original name. So the pilot passes, and Brian's immediate, like, well, what do I do? And so, like, for hours...
I was not paying attention when he was telling me.
Well, for hours, he's just, like, in the plane.
Vibing, yeah. Well, autopilot on.
He's like, I don't know if I missed where we're supposed to go. I don't know if, like, we're on the same course. He's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And eventually he kind of is like, okay, so my options are to fly forever, and run out of gas, or purposely attempt
to land,
to drop the plane into something or somewhere.
Yeah.
Again, like, after hours, he's not just like, oh, well, pilot's dead, time to go down, you know? Yeah. And while he's doing that, he hits the plane, like, turns it way off what he presumes the course is. But he does eventually get it down. So in Canada, there's lakes everywhere. And so...
Especially northern Canada.
He crashes through some trees and into a lake, and then starts to go under. And he's, like, still hooked up to things. It's actually a pretty spooky, anxiety-inducing scene of him getting out.
Dude,
like,
you know what you should have done? Unbuckle yourself so it just auto-ejects you through the windshield.
He did slam his head on the wheel and get a pretty nasty bump. He lost a fingernail trying to pull his seatbelt off.
Ow.
Which I hate.
Yeah. That's actually, like, horrible, and I hate it, and I'm mad you told me about it.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I had to read it. So, he does get out with only his hatchet, you know, and the clothes on his body. He's wearing, like, jeans, a t-shirt, and a windbreaker.
Not enough for Canada, baby.
Well, it's summer, but yeah. Well, it's not enough for Canada because pretty much, like, he crashes, like, maybe around 4 or 5. And then, if you know anything about Canada...
Nighttime.
Mosquitoes. He's instantly attacked. So, like, he's just getting out of the water. He swims to shore. And he's
those
like...
mosquitoes are like...
Well, he just, like, falls down and he's like, I'm just going to be here. Like, I need to rest and recover.
I need a minute.
I need a 5. And he wakes up covered in mosquitoes. Like, his face is swollen.
Oh, cool.
From how much... Like, he can't see out of his eyes all the way.
Oof.
And, yeah, he's basically just being attacked by mosquitoes. But he's like, I still can't deal with that. And basically for, like, the course of a day is in and out of consciousness.
Did I ever tell you about the one time I got a mosquito bite on my nip?
Okay. Do you want
to... I was just a kid and right on the nip.
Yeah?
That shit itches.
Yeah, well...
Even more than usual.
Even more than usual?
Yeah.
Oh, my. Where was I? Oh, he also feels like in this time between consciousness, like as he wakes up, like extreme guilt about leaving the pilot in the water.
So that's the important thing right now.
Well, he's a kid. Come on. I know. But the plane goes all the way underwater, so it's gone.
Bye-bye.
He finally kind of starts getting his stuff together over the next couple of hours. He finds like a little crevasse in the rock where he makes a shelter. Or he at least sleeps there.
Yeah.
And he finds some berries that birds were eating. Except for he eats way too many of them and shits his fucking brains out and throws up.
But good idea.
Yeah.
Follow what the animals are eating.
Yes. He also drinks some water from the lake, you know.
Unless it's grass.
You could probably eat grass.
No,
it wouldn't be good for you.
It wouldn't be good for you.
His option is eat something or die.
Well, grass, I'm pretty sure, has a negative calorie for humans.
Well, anyways, he's doing all this, and as he's thinking, he's like, okay, I've got to be positive. He's like, I've got to have a positive outlook on this. He's 13, so he's old enough to be like, okay, I could either go into existential dread and die, or I can do my best.
Or I can stop being a little bitch.
Yeah, and he chooses to not be a little bitch. So he's like, okay, it'll probably take them a day to organize a rescue. It'll probably take them another day to get things up in the air, realize where we were going. He's like, so I'll probably only be here for like 4 days maximum. And then he's like...
Spoiler alert.
Well, and then he's like, shit, like, I put the plane off course on accident. Are they going to be able to look and remember that I was off course? I don't know how plane... searches
they got
go.
Transponders and shit.
Well, the plane's completely underwater.
That's true.
Yeah.
Why do you put it down there?
Well, it was either that or crash into a bunch of rocks and trees.
Bring it back up.
So he's kind of starting, but like his options are again just keep going or get shot, like get destroyed by existential dread. He eventually makes fire when he. It's kind of funny. He's like sleeping and he hears like a sound. So he Kobe's his hatchet at the sound and then sparks the wall. But he then gets immediately slapped by a porcupine in the leg.
Wow.
So he's got, like, 8 quills in his leg, and he's, the way it's, like, described, it's, like, pitch black, it's nighttime, he doesn't have a fire, and he's feeling his leg and pulling out quills in the middle of the night. And, as he's, like, pulling them out, like, they're breaking, too.
Nice.
So it's not fun. But then he realizes I can make a fire. Cool. So, it obviously a lot of trial and error. He's like, well, I ripped up the paper money in my hand. It didn't do anything. I tried little sticks. It didn't do anything. And eventually he gets trial and error to, like, he calls it, like, a birch bed for the fire. He gets, like, birch tree, what's the outside? Bark. And tiny, like, gets it really thin with the hatchet, and basically has, like, floss bedding for it, and he gets it going.
Cool.
And he's like, well, this is my life, is keeping this fucking fire alive. So he just collects, like, a shit ton of wood, and that's all he does. And then he's like, I can make a bonfire. It's like, oh, but I should do it, like, one and done kind of thing. Like, if I hear something, I put it up.
Yeah.
So he does that. And eventually he does hear a plane within, like, the first 4 days. Yeah. And he runs to
the bonfire.
But the plane turns around and doesn't see him. Trigger warning for this next bit. Self-harm, suicide. He decides to give up that night. And he attempts to kill himself by cutting his wrists. Which was a little intense for me because he's 13 and it was hard.
With the hatchet?
With the hatchet. Yep. But then, like, the next chapter, it's a 42-day jump. Ooh. He's been there now for 47 days.
That's too many days.
It's too many days, but he's got his shit together a little bit. He's able to make a bow, using the shoelace of one of his shoes, and after some trial and error, the right wood. The arrows he has, he calls them fish arrows, and he's like, I literally just throw them into the water. He's figuring things out. He's eating fish. Eventually, he's eating these big fat birds he calls full birds because they're so stupid, which is cute.
Dodos, round 2.
Yeah, he sees a bear and a wolf, but, like, they never really come close to him. But he's more in tune with, like, listening to his body for things like that. And speaking of listening to things like that, he's, like, drinking some water by the lake or doing something with his fish, and he's like, something's wrong. And he turns around just to get smashed by a moose. Like, she takes her head and, like...
Hey, guys, don't fuck with meese.
No, meese. And she throws him into the water. Doesn't hit him with her horns or anything. But then he, like, comes up for air and she stomps on him.
Yeah. They do be stomping, though.
They do be. And, he's like, okay, I'm gonna play dead for a minute. And then he starts to move, and she gets him again. So he's been trampled a couple times. His ribs are seriously injured.
Broken,
by
for
this.
sure.
Yeah, he feel like he can't really breathe.
It's surprising he's not dead.
Very much so. It must have been a young moose.
Mm-hmm. Like a little bitch weak moose.
Mm-hmm. And because things were going so well after his moose attack, the literally same night, a fucking tornado hits.
Nice.
And I've never experienced a tornado in general.
They got NATOs that high up?
Apparently. I wouldn't think they would because they wouldn't really have the... Well, I wouldn't really think they'd have the ground, like the flat to go for it, to speed up.
I don't know how NATOs work.
I don't either. But either way, his shit gets completely rocked. Like, himself is getting thrown around in his little crevice. And his ribs are even more fucked. And he's like, son of a bitch. Like, he's like, I've got to get my house back together. My fire's out. I got to get my fire going. I've got to... What's it? He's like, I've got to get all my wood stores back. He's like, this shit sucks. Mm-hmm. He can't breathe. Right? His ribs are still swollen. And he kind of, like, turns around and surveys the damage. And the airplane's tail is sticking up.
Ooh.
Of the water. And he's like, okay, tornado must have moved that shit around.
Do you know tornadoes will pick up fish and throw them around?
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Hi, fish. But then he remembers, like, oh shit, there was a survival pack in that plane. And
with a second hatchet. Fuck yeah.
But he now plans to get that pack.
Now he can survive twice as good.
Twice as fast, too.
Oh.
It takes him like 2 hours. I don't know how big this lake is, but it takes him 2 hours to paddle this raft to the ship, or to the plane. So, pretty big.
Pretty big. Also, could be a pretty shitty raft.
Well, it is. It's literally 2 logs weaved together. So it's not great. There's a lot of resistance. And when he gets there, he starts, like... What's he doing? He's taking the hatchet and, like, hatcheting through the tail part so he can get into the plane. Yeah. He drops
the keys.
No keys. He drops the hatchet at one point and freaks out, but, like, goes back in to grab it.
Yeah.
But then he's, like, as he's about to get in the plane, he's like, what if I'm in there and I jostle something and the plane goes back down underwater and I'm completely stuck and I die?
Yeah.
And I'm like, cool, great.
Good thought, though.
Like, awesome anxiety.
Good thought, though.
Yeah. But still, I'm like, great, awesome anxiety, much appreciated. He has to dive to get the pack. He does get the pack, but as he's down there, he sees what's left of the pilot. And it's
nasty
gross.
Boy.
Yeah, and he's like, he's basically thinking like I hadn't considered that the fish would be getting to him.
Oh, for sure. I was gonna say he eat the fish eat the pilot.
The fish eat the pilot. That is something he thought about right at the beginning when he was drinking water. He's like, I don't want to drink this. The pilot's body's in there.
Yeah.
But he's like, I gotta. So that freaks him out, and he's like, I will never forget that.
Yeah, for sure.
But he focuses on the pack, and there's like a ton of new shit, like a gun for one, and he
a gun.
But he's kind of like, I don't know what to do with that. He's like, it feels really other, like for this new person he is, and like all the electronics, like batteries are in there, and like there's like a emergency transmitter, and he's kind of like, I don't know what to do with those items.
Yeah.
He's like, all I really care about is there's a sleeping bag and food packs, and he starts prepping the food packs. He's like, I'm just gonna fucking go for one, and he's like, it's like a meal for 4 people. He's like, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah. And
he's drinking juice and he's having the time of his life, and then he hears a plane.
Ooh.
And then a plane lands on the water and gets out. The guy gets out, and he's like, you're that kid that went missing. And Brian's just like,
yeah.
But the guy was like, they stopped looking for you almost 2 months ago. And basically he's rescued. Back in the real world, you know, he was there for 57 days.
That's all.
That's the book.
Oh, damn. Okay.
It's quick. It's for 5th graders. But he was there for 57 days. And he's like, eventually there was a big fuss, but it quickly died back down. And he's like, my parents never got back together. And he's like, I never did end up telling my dad about the cheating thing.
Do you know what's worse than hatcheting? Divorce.
Am I right? But that's it. I mean, it's a really quick book. It's a little spooky, in my opinion. Like, the dead pilot, I always had, like, a vision of it.
Do you know what I think of?
What?
In Madagascar.
The movie?
Yeah.
With the animals? Okay.
Yeah, where they have the plane, the lemurs have the plane in the tree.
Yeah.
And the dead pilot's in the... that's what I think about.
I mean, you're not far off. But how do you feel? Like I said, that one's really quick.
Yeah, that was a quickie.
Do you feel like the 10+ age rating is appropriate?
I mean, yeah.
I thought so too.
Just a little bit of, like, stuff to talk about, you know?
Yeah, you have to discuss, like, cheating and things like that, which is, like, that should probably be talked about at least a little bit. Like, before kids start dating, like, what that is.
Yeah.
And divorce. And then you also have to talk about, like, the survival stuff. And
some kids have to learn about divorce way younger than that.
I had to learn about it before I was born. Before I was conceived. That's it. What do you think? I like it. I like this book. It's quick.
Good book.
Yeah. I mean, there's not much more to say about it. It's something I had to read in 5th grade. I like it.
So he doesn't have a hawk friend?
No, that's...
Anywhere in the
no hawk friends. That's... like.
So why did we read this one?
Do you want to read My Side of the Mountain? If we read My Side of the Mountain, we're reading Julia the Wolves.
Never mind.
What do you mean? What? I haven't told you much about that.
No, I've heard it's good.
From me.
And Lou.
Oh, yeah, Lou read it. Fucking loser nerd.
Well,
honestly, But, okay. Cool. Well, follow us on...
the things.
TikTok, YouTube...
Spotify, Apple,
leave us a review.
Any podcast boys.
5 or 0 stars. That's it. My name's Blue, and I love to read.
My name's Justin. I don't like reading. I hate it. And I got 2 hatchets. I'm 2 Hatchet Justin, baby. I got 2 of them. I'm going to clank them together. Oh. I'm going to clank them together.
Okay, quick.
2 hatchets.